Welcome, Santa Sue. This is our second to last KSSH News at Noon for the 2013-2014 school year.
Wow, with so little time and so many stories left to show you. Michael, let's keep the talking to a minimum.
Well, Karen, if either one of us has a problem with talking too much...
Let's get this show on the road.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna...
What makes you interesting?
Obviously, it has to be the name Manpaul. There's nothing better than that word, Manpaul. That is completely interesting. Why would your parents name you that? I would have named my kids that.
I've been playing Neopets for 11 years. I got a lot of money on there. I got about 1 million Neo points.
I'm not always this interesting, but when I am, it's because I'm Betty Jean.
Tune in next week for our top 3. See you there. Don't you worry.
This next story will answer all your questions.
Hey Santa Sue, Emily Radke here. Who would have thought that a new national curriculum would be so contentious? Well, it is.
When the Common Core tests were first announced, I think that there wasn't a lot of information getting out to the students and parents about what would really be happening. The teachers and the districts were given about 3 years to really start to look at the standards and figure out how they were going to carry them out. But most of the parents and students were in the dark. A lot of parents thought that there was federal interference coming into the classroom, and education is really a state's right, so there were concerns that the federal government might be overstepping. We see districts in Indiana repealing the Common Core tests, and what they're putting into place, from all accounts, is actually the same standards with some minor wording changes.
So I understand, Ms. Kerrigan, that you surveyed your students after they took the Common Core test?
Well, after the first day of testing, I gave my students a Google survey, and most of them found that the math section was extremely difficult and that they felt like the English section was much easier. The STAR testing is very much based on multiple choice questions, and students who test well do extremely well on the STAR test, but the Common Core test requires students to actually write more, to read different passages, to find words, click on things, so it's more interactive. A lot of my 10th graders mentioned that they found the passages more interesting and they weren't as bored with the test. They definitely thought it was harder, but they said overall they liked it better than the STAR test.
There's a new member of our band family.
Here's Alex Minster with the scoop.
Hey Santa Sue, Alex Minster here. Our instrumental department got donated a piano by the Alfreds. I went and interviewed Joey Alfred. Let's go find out more.
It's been in my family for as long as I can remember.
What kind of piano is it?
It's a Kawai Baby Grand piano. We donated the piano because we decided that it should be put to good use, and we thought the school could do that best.
I sat for the SATs last month.
Oh, I get it.
Hey Troubadours, Amanda Bay here. There have been changes to the SAT. Let's go check in with Miss Clevenger for more on that.
What changes are happening with the SAT? So all of you in 2014 through 2016, it's the same. But starting in 2017, there will be no penalty for wrong answers, which is great because now you can guess and not get any minus points for that. The test is only going to be 3 hours. The essay will be optional, so you don't have to take it unless you want to. And the scoring will be out of 1,600 instead of 2,400. Another great thing is the vocabulary is going to be more real life, real world vocabulary, which is really awesome. If you want to know more details on this, I have a great handout that tells you the difference between each thing starting for the 2017 class, and it will be in the CCC.
Back to you in the studio.
Until recently, it's been a social taboo.
But now we're more open to talk about the causes and consequences of self-harm.
I'm Renee Lipiat. Cutting is one of the most common forms of self-harm. Despite this, most people who cut often keep it secret and feel alone. In pursuing this story, I spoke with more than 10 people who struggle with self-harm, none of whom would agree to appear on camera. However, I did speak with a private practice psychiatrist and our district psychologist and got their input.
Self-harm means usually doing damage to tissue. Usually the tissue is the skin. Most of us try to avoid physical pain, but for one who self-injures, the emotional pain is much greater than the physical pain.
If you know somebody that is self-harming, please first and foremost send them to an adult. Other coping mechanisms that we recommend is journaling, listening to music, going on a walk, doing some sort of exercise, whether it's going to the gym or taking a light jog. But first and foremost, definitely talking to an adult and finding that support system.
And most people struggling with inflicting self-harm, they don't want it to be known to those outside. It's something that they, usually when they cut in a place where it can't be seen. Maybe on the tops of their legs, or if it's on their wrists or forearm, that they'll wear long sleeves.
At our school, typically the first line of defense is to go to your school counselor, talk with them about the problem. Your school counselor will assess the situation.
A big part of treatment is what we refer to sometimes as talk therapy, helping them to develop the language to be able to express what's going on and what they're feeling. Oftentimes a self-injurer has learned to repress. Repress means just merely to bury and to not think about the issues that are hard or that one's dealing with. So they move into not thinking about it. And therapy helps them to identify what those issues are.
Our intrepid reporters risked life and limb on this next story.
This week on Fast Food Breakfast Edition, we're getting Taco Bell breakfast with the one and only Franklin from Breakfast Time with Franklin Melendez.
Good.
That's what that looks like.
The AM crunch
God,
wrap
so cute.
with no meat. It's adorable. It tastes delicious.
It does.
I have the AM Crunch Wrap, also no meat, and it's really good.
Just crunch wrap with bacon. The bacon is cold.
If it was just the waffle taco, I would give it a 3, but with these delights, I give it a 4.
I can't rate Taco Bell. It's a chain restaurant, so yeah.
I'd rather go to school than deal with this torture again.
Yeah.
I feel like a
so
parent who's
upset,
disappointed
Franklin.
in their child. Well, fast food breakfast is always pretty terrible when
True.
But like when I was like Taco Bell, you know what? They'll do it right.
Taco Bell hasn't had breakfast for very long, so we should give them some time because they're still learning.
Bittersweet.
Memories of the way we were, are. Hey Santa Sue, the year's almost over.
Here are some movies to watch over summer if you want to remember what high school feels like. My number 3 is Grease. It contains Danny and Sandy, and they go together like wop bada bada ba bamboo.
My number 3 high school movie is 10 Things I Hate About You, starring Heath Ledger, who's hot.
My number 2 favorite is Rock and Roll High School, which contains Riff Randall and the Ramones.
My number 2 movie is Heather, starring Winona Ryder, Christian Slater, Scrunchies, and Murder.
And before we get to our number 1, here are a few honorable mentions.
Dazed and Confused.
Dead Poet Society.
Breakfast Club.
And Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And our number 1 is
High School Musical.
We would have picked the second one, but it doesn't take place at high school.
But it does have Zephron in it.
He's hot. We're all in this together, Santa Sue.
It's your last chance.
It's a really big show.
Hold my hand, oh baby, it's a long way down to the bottom of the river. Hold my hand, oh baby, it's a long way down, if you get sleep or if you get night. The cops gonna call in the morning, baby. Check the cover for your daddy's gun. Red sun rises like an early warning. The Lord's gonna come for your firstborn son. His hair's on fire and his heart is burning.
It's another fun, must-do ritual before we can get rid of all these seniors.
Senior Awards.
I'd like to accept this award on behalf of myself. Starbucks coffee, sandwiches. Everyone's got to eat. And of course, my first crush, Miss Bischoff, who's been helping me through the years.
Cameron, what are you doing?
I'm practicing for senior awards night.
It's not till next week.
Yeah, but I'm certifying in dance, musical theater, instrumental music. I mean, I gotta practice.
Go back to class, Cameron.
Fine. But I love you.
Goodbye, Cameron.
Cameron, maybe if you wore these, she'd actually love you.
If you've ever wondered why you come to school each and every day,
This next story is it.
Finals. 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 Finals.
Up next is our car guy with another episode of What's Your Ride?
Hello, Santa Sue. We have some very unusual cars here in our parking lot. I'm here with Betty Jean to talk about one of the most unusual ones out of them all. Tell us, Betty Jean, what is your ride?
I ride an ice cream truck. I designed it myself. I picked out the colors, I picked out the paints, I did some rough sketches of different designs, and me and my dad collaborated about which one we picked was for the best. Me and my mom, my dad, and my sister all take shifts back and forth running the van. When we were little, me and my sister, we always had this little ice cream guy that would come around the neighborhood. But he was always so fast and he never stopped and we could never catch him. We were thinking, me and my dad, about this a while back, and then my dad said, why don't we own our own ice cream truck?
you know you don't want to miss it.
Your last chance to see a dance concert. Tomorrow, support the Eliminate Project by bowling up a storm at Brunswick.
7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
And that's the way it is.
May 15th, 2014.
Have a spontaneous yet poignant day, Santa Sue.